Hi class, today we are going to be talking about biomimetics. Make sure you have a pen and interactive notebook ready. Before we begin, look at these two pictures. This on the left is a kingfisher bird and this on the right is a bullet train. Take 25 seconds of your time to predict how this bird inspired a new train. To start, maybe write down some commonalities to help you with your prediction. Okay, time's up. Now, since you wrote down some commonalities between this bird and this train, keep those in your mind when talking about biomimetics while we discuss the definition. And feel free to add on to these commonalities as we go through this lesson. Let's break down the definition of biomimetics by starting with the definition of biology. Biology is the study of living organisms, divided into many specialized fields that cover their morphology, physiology, anatomy, behavior, origin, and distribution. Mimetics is relating to, constituting, or habitually practicing mimesis. Mimesis is basically studying a pattern. Let's take a second and try to combine these definitions to make one for biomimetics. Write down in your interactive notebook in your own words. So, when we combine these definitions, we get biomimetics, also known as biomimicry, which is the imitation of the models, systems, and elements of nature for the purpose of solving complex human problems. Can you think of any everyday items you use that may be biomimically created? Take 15 seconds and write this down in your interactive notebook. If you are stuck, refer back to the kingfisher bird and the bullet train example. Think of commonalities in nature and in everyday objects just like you did with those two things. So now we are going to go through some biomimicry examples that you may not have thought of. First one we're going to go and talk about is the gecko and training shoes. Training shoes were based off of the way geckos' feet can stick to surfaces and they act as an adhesive. These shoes were inspired by geckos and made to help people who climb. The second one we're going to talk about are airplanes that are inspired by bird wings and shark skin. Airplanes and their wings were created by looking at the bird's streamlined shape and the way birds take off by raising their wings, creating lift. The texture of the skin of a shark reduces drag, which helps with long-range, high-speed flights. The third thing we're going to talk about are Velcro and burrs. Velcro was inspired by burrs sticking to dogs' fur. The engineer who created Velcro figured it out because burrs kept sticking to him and his dog while they were on walks. So he decided to mimic the burrs' hook shape as a fastener, giving us Velcro. Now that we know what biomimicry is and we have some examples, take a second to refer back to your original prediction about the kingfisher bird and the Japanese bullet train. Do you have anything you want to add? Or maybe something you want to change? You can even change your whole prediction. Take 10 seconds to do that. Now, let's discuss the commonalities one engineer in Japan found out about the kingfisher bird and the bullet train in the late 1990s.
In the 90s, Japan had very fast bullet trains. They were moving so fast that the original train shape was creating loud, booming sounds as the train would exit tunnels, which ended up having a lot to do with the traditional bullet shape. This was a problem that needed to be solved, and there was an engineer who was up for the challenge. Iju Nakatsu was the chief engineer of the West Japan Railway Corporation. He was also an avid birdwatcher in his free time. Now, you may think that birds and trains have nothing in common, or maybe when writing down the commonalities between birds and trains, you found out they have more in common than you thought. Well, Iju Nakatsu realized that birds and trains are quite similar in the way they move quickly through the air. He noticed that as kingfisher birds dove through the air into the water, they created very little to no splash. A kingfisher bird's upper and lower beak have triangular cross sections with the sides of the triangles being curved. Together they formed a squash diamond shape. The small splash of the bird along with the shape of the beak made Nakatsu create a new vision for the bullet train. Please watch the first 15 seconds of this YouTube video and in your notebook, predict how you think scientists tested for a new shape of the bullet train. Scientists took various bullet shapes and launched them down a tube, including one designed from the kingfisher beak. During this test, they were looking to see which gave off the least amount of sound. Further tests compared solid models of train shapes dropped into water in order to record the splash. Did any of you think of these testing ideas? All the tests confirmed that the kingfisher bill was indeed the most efficient of all those tested. Refined prototypes were built and ultimately made to full scale for test runs on the tracks. The design reduced the sonic boom effect, allowed the train to run at higher speeds, and still adhere to the standard noise level. In your interactive notebook, please take time to write whether your predictions of the bullet train and the kingfisher bird were similar to Nakatsu's. Also, please write down some problems that you think can be fixed with biomimetics. Please be ready to share some of your lovely ideas with the class. We look forward to hearing them and seeing you. Bye!